unless you were living under a superhero media rock for the last week and a half, 2 weeks, you'll know that the Lanterns trailer dropped, or it's a teaser trailer. It's not really a trailer, and people are bitching because that's just what they do best. One of the things I can't stand is people, especially people a certain side of YouTube that we've talked about multiple times, seems to really like to crap on a medium they don't read or something like that. So one of the things I've noticed about the Lantern trailer, I will say there wasn't a lot of like space Green Lantern action, but again, it was a teaser trailer. It's like the Supergirl trailer was a teaser trailer. It wasn't an actual trailer that gave us plot or anything like that. Hell, we got a little bit more insight on that like puppy trailer for the Super Bowl or the Puppy Bowl for Supergirl than we did a teaser trailer because it's a teaser trailer. It's supposed to give you like a little taste of what we're gonna see, right? And Lanterns gave us just that same thing. A lot of people don't remember what teaser trailers really were. Like, remember the Man of Steel one where it's just him flying up in the air and he's breaking the sound barrier and he just like blows out into space and that was it? That's really all we got back then. Like, teaser trailers have gotten a little bit longer. Remember the Amazing Spider-Man teaser where he's just swinging, but you don't actually see him until the final shot in the window, and it like cuts to black as soon as you kind of see him. You had to go on YouTube to find it. That was a teaser trailer. Like that's what these are. These are teaser trailers. They're just longer now for some reason. I'd rather them go back to like the nice little minute medium of those. I missed those teaser trailers because they were. You had to be creative with those shits. Like, what are we going to show that we're not? That's actually not in the movie. Like that shot of Superman and the Man of Steel teaser and Spider Man and the Spider Man teaser. Those weren't shots in the movie. So they need to go back to that. But one of the things I think is like you guys are doing too much. People are complaining about there's no green in a Green Lantern show. We haven't even seen the whole show. For all we know, everything we saw in that trailer was the first episode. Literally the first episode. So they probably hid, I want to say it's going to be 6 to 8 episodes long. We don't know the episode number. It could be 6 to 8. I don't think a show like this needs to be 13 episodes. I'm kind of over the 13 episode medium. I mean, the only show that actually did this perfectly and it doesn't affect the show is Daredevil. So, and that could be questionable with Daredevil season 2, but 1 and 3, perfect. Born Again being 10 episodes, I think 10 is like the perfect number, if you ask me. But people hating on the show and they haven't even watched it. One, I think after seeing this teaser trailer, I like Kyle Chandler more that I got to see him do something as Hal because I was very concerned about Kyle Chandler because I was like, I love Kyle Chandler. I've always have, but he's 60. But him being old, in my opinion, means Hal's Parallax. Like he's Parallax. There's like a big Parallax influence. Hal being jaded has some Parallax influence in there. That's kind of what happens. Parallax fucks with your brain. Then you have John kind of being a little angsty towards him, saying like you're old. I could just do this better than you. That's kind of a John thing early on when John first showed up in the 70s, but John's been way cooler since then. But also, this is a good thing because a lot of people fail to realize I don't, and I say this more for like people who prefer character moments and development. If the characters are already perfect from the start, what are you really getting out of them? And I think an older jaded Hal. It's an interesting set to go since we're finally getting Hal Jordan after 15 fucking years, but interesting that we're finally getting a live action John. It only took 25 years, but we finally got a live action John. I remember like John Stewart's the Green Lantern I grew up with. I'm not even going to sit here and act like he wasn't my first big experience with Green Lantern because he was. Like I was very much like the 2001 Justice League show. I'm pretty sure it was most people's first experience. That's my age with Green Lantern. You know what I mean? Unless your parents were big comic book collectors, which my mother was not. So I saw other lanterns and like the comic books, but John was like my first big experience with like a Green Lantern. And ever since then, I've loved Green Lantern. Like I love Hal Jordan. I freaking love Hal Jordan. And when we got that movie in 2012, 2011, now 2011, I was like, this was bad, and it should not have been Ryan Reynolds. Even if it was James Marsden, who was my top choice for Hal, and honestly, if we were going to go for an older Hal, it still should have been James Marsden. If we're going to keep it a buck, um, I think Kyle Chandler actually looks pretty good. Like he gives off a really good jaded old Hal. And for all we know, just like in Rebirth, when Hal comes back, because I do think there's going to do that at some point, maybe a year or two, maybe 3 years. That's why the show's going to be about 6, 8 episodes. They're going to make you, be invested in Hal. because he's paralyzed. Then he dies, which is unfortunate. Or he somehow gets deparalyzed without dying. But I'd rather him die because then, like, Kyle Chandler could be the Spectre, and then like some other younger bodied Hal, which happens in Rebirth, he comes back with a younger, fresher body, can be Hal. So it's like this could work if they do it well, and only James Gunn is crazy enough to try it. So it's like, who knows? That's like my prediction. It's a harsh, crazy prediction. It's like a pipe dream, but it's my prediction because we already have Guy, Hal, and John. So Kyle could be right around the corner, and we just don't know it yet. Like Kyle could be like right there. You know what I mean? And but we know for a fact that John's gonna be like the main lantern. I know, certain people on this side of the internet's gonna hate that, but he is gonna be like the main lantern, and we just got information that he's gonna be a Man of Tomorrow. So again, we know based off things we've heard, lanterns does have an effect on the universe. It's not gonna be like some side thing that nothing happens and no one knows about. So something big has to happen in lanterns. Keep that in mind. And also, we know that Sinestro's in the show. We just didn't see him, but that's fine. I don't want to see everything in the trailer. I'd rather be surprised by some of the coolest stuff ever. Like, I genuinely think Supergirl showed us nothing, and that's what I like about it. Like, we're getting that new trailer in April because Supergirl comes out in June. Like, people don't realize Supergirl is literally like 3 months away, and we're gonna start getting bigger Supergirl marketing. So, Lanterns is a month after Supergirl, maybe like early August, maybe like mid July. So we're going to start getting a lot of content from DC going forward. And then remember, Clayface is October, so and that's a part of the bigger universe. So we don't know anything yet, and people are just trying to find anything they can. I will say something that's going to annoy me in the next couple months is we're going to see a bigger influx of please bring back the Snyderverse. I'm going to jump off a cliff and hope to catch my eyelid on the twig because that is going to be the most frustrating time on the internet for a while. And my recent BVS video in one of my comments actually shows that. So let's just all just buckle down and just tell those guys to go eat a fat one and call it a day because we like the Snyder movies were a failure. Like we saw one Green Lantern, and he got bodied by Darkseid in a flashback, and then we see a picture of a guy who looked like a really good looking John. I'll tell you guys like that. I love the way the suit looked, the green, the way the guy's face. Like that's how I imagine John Stewart would look in real life. That guy looked like John Stewart to me, which is something Zack Snyder always did well. He knew how to get the people that looked really good. But the problem is his movies are buns. I take away the Snyder cut out of that. I actually really love the Snyder cut, and I'm probably going to do a review about that soon. But all in all, I think the hate for the show is forced because first of all, not showing the green is probably going to be a lot more satisfying when you see it in the show. Like it may be unsatisfying, and I do get that they did get the writers for True Detective. So if this looks like a True Detective show, it's because the writers of True Detective are doing the show. So Hal and John are like, I think there's like a buddy cop murder mystery type thing, but the murderer is probably just Hal. Like he's probably being Parallax influenced, and that's why he looks so rugged and tired and irritated. But also, it could be Sinestro because we know Sinestro's involved, or it's both of them. And John's like, "Well, what do I do now?" And maybe like we finally get to see John have his come to moment because that would be a cool way for John to really start being the Green Lantern. But also, I do think that there's something bigger going on in that small town that they're in, and it would be really insane if like a whole core of like Yellow Lanterns was like just like undercover in there, and they were like trying to flesh them out. Like that would be freaking wild. That would be really wild. And because we know about with Superman, they're not afraid to go the weird, crazy comic distance. But with the Green Lantern show not being in space most of the time, I kind of am annoyed because Green Lantern in space is pretty much untouchable. Like you can't say that whole 2000s Green Lantern run when it was always in space wasn't completely goaded. You know what I'm saying? So I do understand the frustration there, but at least we have a clear sign that there's a Yellow Lantern problem, and Yellow Lantern with Yellow Lanterns comes Parallax. So big old yellow evil thing. You know what I mean? So I think people need to just learn to shut up. It was the same issue I had with the Supergirl trailer, but it was nowhere near as bad. Like, I don't think the Lanterns hate is anywhere near as bad as Supergirl. There are people who are like, bruh, I'm still excited for this show, and I'm on that same boat. I love Green Lantern. I love John, and I love Hal. How, like, John's my favorite Green Lantern. Hal's my second, and it's not by much because I love both of them, and the fact that they're both together means that, like, I'm getting a big old piece of the pie right now. And let's be honest, it's pretty obvious what's going to happen with Hal. I mean, it may not be. This is just a prediction, and if I'm right, I'll try to come back to the show and say, "Yo, you was right." But if not, I was wrong. You know what I'm saying? But I'm still going to keep making videos. So I think the hate is really forced. When we know it's a Lantern show, we know that it's about Green Lantern. Like, we're not going to see them be Green Lantern. And also, Hal is clearly training John. It's the opening scene of the teaser. Hey, look, we've been training for about 2 months, 6 months. I think I'm ready for the ring. You're not ready to teach unless the ring shows that you are. And he jumps out the car, and the most Hal Jordan thing. That is such a Hal Jordan thing. As soon as I saw that, I was like, "That is Hal. That is Hal in a nutshell, bro." Like, and that's the thing people don't get. So, like, me personally, the only thing I have a problem with is like the excessive use of the F word, because Green Lantern was never that, like, mature as far as like adult level goes. Like, you could open a Green Lantern comic and not have any issues as far as like language. That's something you see more for like Lobo or Deadpool. But with Green Lantern, I mean, Hal would say the F word. I'm not upset about that. I think it's the excessive use of it. And I know Nathan Fillion says something like he says more F bombs in this thing than he did in any other project. And I'm like, coming from Guy, sure. I mean, but Green Lantern was never that adult, and that's probably my biggest issue with being an HBO show is that when it becomes an HBO show, the language is the last thing they care about. So that's probably my biggest gripe. But other than that, I think it looks pretty damn good. And my last thing about the suit, it's clearly an old, worn out suit. Like, when green wears out, it does turn like a little brownish. So, and also, green and yellow can kind of make an ugly looking brown. Yellow, get where I'm going with this? You see what I'm saying? So it's there, bro. Like, a lot of the signs is there. So let's stop bitching. Let's just look at the show when it comes out. Obviously, it's probably going to be a little bit of a slow burn, like some of the MCU shows, which was the biggest problem with them. But I also think it's going to be a little more entertaining because Gunn has had so many MCU shows to look at and see the medium of where they fail. He tends to learn from mistakes and still be James Gunn and work because that's just who he is. So I think that people need to just sit back and just watch the show. And besides, remember, James Gunn didn't write this, he didn't direct this, he's just a producer. Same thing with Supergirl. Even though everybody's been calling it James Gunn Supergirl, it's not. So I'm saying everyone needs to fall back. Because let's be honest, Creature Commandos is fire. Creature Commandos season two, probably gonna be more fire than the first season. Clayface, haven't seen anything on it, but I'm honestly excited for the project. Lanterns. We got Superman, Man of Tomorrow, which is next year. And like I said, Aaron Pierre was just cast in that like yesterday. So, bruh, this whole thing about to just jump off. Like, Man of Tomorrow could be like the first kind of Avengers level film. And I, like, Superman has to build the Justice League after this, right? Like Brainiac attacking the Earth while he has to work with Luthor, which is going to drive him insane. I'm almost confident that's going to start like the okay, we should probably form a team of heroes. We've already seen the Hall of Justice; it's there. It's just they're not in it. So I'm saying this is like a really interesting way to build the universe. Like, I love the Phase One Marvel movies and how they did it, and I'm glad they did it the way they did, and it's still a legendary run to this day. But I like the different approach in this universe. Everyone's already kind of around. Some heroes are going to be new. Some heroes are going to be old. Some heroes are going to be like just getting into their prime. I like that better than here's this character this movie, here's this character this movie, here's this character this movie, here's this character this movie. Oh, you gotta wait till the next phase to get this character. You know what I mean? Whereas like James Gunn's like, this is phase one, it's called Gods and Monsters. Here's a bunch of heroes that are already established. Here are some heroes that are coming into the mix. Cool. We already know that with the Batman movie, it's going to be Robin, but it's going to be Damian. So this Batman's probably going to be in his prime, which means we might have Nightwing instead of Dick Grayson Robin, which is nothing wrong with that. But we might have Nightwing. Jason probably already happened, so there's a good chance Red Hood's around somewhere or could be in this line of Batman movies. And that means there's a Tim at least somewhere. But then again, the problem is they love to ignore Tim Drake, kind of like Kyle. Kyle and Tim are like the two goats that get ignored, and it annoys me. But we know that that dynamic duo with the two brothers is going to be Tim and Dick. So just sit back and just watch it, is what I'm saying. Sit back and watch it before you trash it. That's like the whole point of this. So, with that being said, I'm going to sign off. But like, comment, subscribe for more. Let me know how y'all feel down below because I'm always open for the discussion. And I'll see y'all on the next one.